Welcome back to the show we call The Business Life. I'm your coach, Coach Ron Tunick. If you need a job, I'm serious. If you need a job, go to CoachTunick.com. You can find me. You can go online and Google me or call the station, and I'll help you get a job. I'm going to charge you a couple of bucks for that, but you cannot get a job on your own today. I mean, you don't know how to interview. You're going to be scared to death. You don't even know how to dress. You don't know how to act. You don't know how to sit up straight. And what if they ask you questions like, how are you going to be productive? How are you going to help me make more money? Anyway, that's a cheap plug for me. Our show brought to you by Lisa's Tax Service. My partner on our show called The Business Life, talking about jobs, employment, is maybe, just maybe, America's #1 researcher and discovery guru, and he's extremely good at what he does. Aaron Moskowitz, love to have you aboard, pal. How are you today?
Glad to be here. I'm great. Thank
So
you.
this is a great guest. I mean,
Yes.
Week after week, you really bring great guests. I mean, we had last week, she was incredible. She was the HR director of that huge company. She was so honest and open. I got calls, emails. People just loved that show that we did. And today, I'll bet you everybody loves Tom Cairns, too.
I'm sure of it.
And he's local. We need to put on some kind of a, I don't know, webinar, some
Parade festival.
Yeah, parade. Get Tom as chairman of the parade.
Yeah.
No, but his book, All Systems Go, How to Launch a Successful Job Search. This is, I'm telling you, people get stuck in their job. Let me ask you, Tom, this question, because I say it to Aaron all the time, and he can't stand it when I say it. People stay in their jobs because they're afraid to move to another job. Am I right on this?
They stay much longer than and tolerate a lot more.
Because they're so fearful of, they don't think they can get another job, right? Mm-hmm. And it's hard.
That's an aspect, and your compensation makes it difficult. You get responsibilities, family responsibilities, and you can't afford to walk out.
So chapter 1 in your book, we're not going to give everything away in the book, although we are going to give a book away on jobhow.net.
Yes.
Just one book? That's cheap. Can't we give 2 books away?
You know what? Everybody that opts in today gives us their email address will receive an electronic version of
Seriously?
the book. Yes.
Jobhow.net. Go and sign up.
Thank you to Tom Cairns for keeping the dream alive.
Jobhow.net.
Yes.
Go. Jobhow.net. Sign up, and you're going to get a free electronic book, correct?
Yes. That's
okay,
Job
cool.
How. That's like how to get a job.
Job How. I can spell H-O-W.
.net.
Job H-O-W. How. Job How.
Job How.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How to get a job. Why didn't you just put how to get a job?
Taken. Yeah, I know it's a whole sentence. I'm
Jobhow.net. All right.
Yeah.
I'll check out the site later. So chapter 1, we're talking about the dream job. So I knew you were coming in the studio today. I didn't know you were such a big wig, ex of NBC. And then he was, ladies and gentlemen, he was the HR director of Homeland Security. So I'm going to buy you lunch one of these days and really pull back the curtain.
Okay.
So I was thinking about my dream job. I wanted to be the left fielder for the Dodgers. That didn't work out. I wanted to be a singer like Elvis Presley. That didn't work out. I mean, all my dream jobs never worked out. So I just settled for becoming an entrepreneur because I'm not somebody you'd want to hire.
Well, what you're mentioning there to think about is that there may be a lot of things you want to be, but can you be? And I think that's the part sometimes that people don't realize. There are things that you're very naturally talented, and then you can grow that talent, and that's the direction you want to go. You don't want to try to. I enjoy golf, but I don't enjoy it enough to practice to be a good golfer, but I would still love to be on the pro circuit.
I'm going to invite you to come to my club and play with me. Maybe that's a good way. No, you're not invited. He's invited. Okay, you're not invited.
I'll just show up.
You don't play golf, do you, Aaron?
Do they? Well,
you don't even know what golf is.
Yes, when you go to the place with the castle.
All right. Back to Tom Cairns, the author.
And characters.
Yeah. Back to the book. It's called All Systems Go, How to Launch a Successful Job Search. If you want to read the book, get the book electronically, at least go to jobhow.net, and sign up. Just leave your name. You can even give us a phony name, but you can't give us a phony email, right?
Right. Tom just brought up a good point. You were talking about kind of the American Idol type of impossibility, but people really need to start to fall within the job gap. there's a gap out there where employers are really trying to fill this gap with skilled employees. And we're teaching our kids, well, indirectly, that they need to chase after dreams of being in the outfield for the Dodgers or being on stage for American Idol. And so many people are going after these dreams that are just
You're telling
impossible.
me you don't have these goals for your kids?
Well, they add no value to companies
Aaron?
or society, and there are too many of them. So I'm sure Tom has dealt with this throughout his whole entire career, and maybe has a few things to say about
Tom's
the
interviewing
job
me after the show
Right.
for American Idol spot, so that's just for your knowledge.
Sorry, Coach.
That happened.
You didn't make it for 20
So chapter
seasons.
2 in your book called All Systems Go, How to Launch a Successful Job Search, chapter 2.
When I was actually just looking to see what chapter 2 was, and from the standpoint of really, I title it is Mission Possible, to say that it is possible for you to get the job that you're seeking and ultimately
I
would like
believe
to do.
that because I'm a very positive person. I actually believe if you put your mind to it, if you have a mindset and you hire Aaron Moskowitz to do your research, and most people will not put the time in to do the research and discovery. So this is a little bit off the question about your second chapter, but if somebody's going to go interview, let's say the name of your company is Tom Cairns Inc., wouldn't they spend some time finding out the history of the company, am I on the right track here?
No, you're absolutely on the right track, and that's common sense. But not everybody does that. Most individuals will have their resume or think they know this, I'm going to go in and talk about me. And if they spend a little bit more time about seeing how me fits into that organization they're going into, they'll have a better connection. And all of that information is readily available to any job candidate. And so it's not like you have to search and try to find something that's not discoverable. It's there if you search it out and do some preparation ahead of time. So and that's actually one of the things that I do in the book, or try to do in the book, is to say, here are the ways for you to prepare yourself for an interview. You mentioned the interview itself. There are hundreds of questions that a potential employer could ask you, and most people go search.
Give me 3 right off the top of your head. Go.
Well, I'll give you the number one question.
Oh, give me.
And it's also the number one question that I'll tell you now, and your audience will hear. And even though I tell them, they will not prepare an answer for this question.
All right, go ahead.
And the question is, tell me about yourself.
Great personality. I smell good. I'm tall. Good suntan. Good golfer, incidentally.
Yeah, we have some other candidates in mind.
Wait.
And your accounting background?
And most people, again, that's I can tell you 99.9% of the time that will probably be the lead question that an interviewer will ask at some point.
Wow.
If they don't ask that first.
Let's ask Aaron, since I got blown out of that job. What are your skill sets?
What's the job? This company didn't give me enough information to give the right
Say that
answer.
to the HR director. You can't say that.
That's a good point. You're blaming me.
That's my skill set.
But in any event, I mentioned that
But
question.
isn't being
because-
likable very important? Seriously, I mean, getting along with your fellow employees.
A lot of yes, certainly, but is it going to be the deciding factor of getting a job or not? It's not. A lot of interviewees will come in and they'll think because they're getting engaged in a very personal conversation, maybe about themselves and interest, or you're telling me you play golf. It's, I play golf, and they think they connect when that's not necessarily what the employer is looking for. You've made it easy to have a conversation, but you haven't necessarily demonstrated.
You're a tough cookie. Tom Cairns' name, his book is called All Systems Go, How to Launch a Successful Job Search. So I think this is a good question. I'll be rated by our audience here. So obviously I'm charming. Aaron is not.
But he makes up for that because he's good looking.
Right.
Yeah, Tom Clooney, good looking.
Yeah.
How in the interview process, how much talking should the interviewer do versus asking questions? Do you like an interviewer who asks questions more than they talk about themselves?
I like questions that an interviewee would ask. And probably you mentioned a good point, and I'll mention this as well.
Finally, I made a good point.
Good work.
Most people who go for a job interview assume the person who's interviewing them knows what they're doing and knows but the majority of people who conduct interviews have never been trained to conduct an interview. So you're going in expecting someone to know what they're doing, and more than likely they're feeling their way along.
Could we start a business teaching people how to be HR directors?
Seriously.
We could definitely do that, and what I put a plug in for my own book is to say that's where
Moskowitz, Cairns, and Tunick, Inc.
It flows like water.
It does.
Where's Lippman in this deal?
And Lippman.
So, no, that's interesting. So a lot of HR people, go ahead, you were going to ask.
Do we have like a percentage with that? You know, you have percentages of people who are happy with their jobs. How many companies are doing this the wrong way, where they have the CEO, for example, interviewing the candidate that's maybe 5 levels below them?
Oh, how many are doing that?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I wouldn't know a statistic on that, and it probably would vary from company
Make up
to
one.
company.
Nobody's going to know.
Let's just make up one right here. And we'll publish it.
What comes to mind is that's how Google started, where every single person was hired, and the founders interviewed every single one, and they've tried to perpetuate that, but you can't now with the size of the organization.
So there's a extreme example. Have you heard of Tesla Motors?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So my friend joined.
Did you just ask that question? Who hasn't heard of Tesla?
Really, I'm not trying to be condescending here.
Tom, have you ever heard of a company called McDonald's?
I was going to say, isn't that the limo I just drove up in?
No, next time.
I wonder if they have a
Stretch Tesla.
Do they?
No.
Not
yet.
Did you have a
They're
question?
creating it as we speak, and we forgot to patent that sucker.
Did you have a question?
I forgot. Can you remind me?
Tesla.
No, okay, yeah. So they were already up to maybe like 400, 500 employees. And at that point, my friend had to interview with Elon Musk, who's a pretty busy guy running 3 companies, right? SpaceX, Solar City. And do you think that Elon Musk, I mean, this is never going to come back to, I don't believe he's listening to the station right now. Do you think that was appropriate?
As the best use of his time,
right.
Perhaps? I like the idea that a CEO at that level would talk to everybody in that organization, regardless of what their position is. The challenge would they be able to continue to do so? And then really, what's the quality of that exchange?
Still does it to this day.
So
no, but
I would say that's an important part of who he is.
He just got out of his office. This is interesting. It has nothing to do with the show we call The Business Life. That's what you're listening to right now on KHTS AM 1220. Don't forget, we have a great app. Go to the App Store and download the app, and you can take us everywhere. One of the best apps, I'm not kidding you, one of the best radio apps in the country, because KHTS is full of great shows all through the week. Dan Lippman, who is our attorney, what question do you want to ask, Dan?
I want to back up, regarding the number one question that's asked when you said, tell me about yourself. Can you give the audience just an idea as far as like the 3 key things that you should go ahead and say? That's
right.
Very confusing.
Sure.
I've been there. We've all been there.
Right.
I hate it.
Right.
I know it's bragging right opportunity, right? On the other hand, if you can go ahead and let us know.
And that's why I mentioned that question, because if you're not prepared for it, immediately you start thinking, what does that person want to hear? And so you start going through a whole litany of things, and then you start challenging, do I tell them something personal? Do I tell them something professional? Where do I start? So you really need to have something prepared. And so the aspects that I would say to include is you want to include a little bit about you personally. You want to have something a little professional about yourself. And then if you can, have something that maybe like what I'd call a human interest sort of element that you just put out there. And that gives hopefully, the question is really designed to be an icebreaker. The person asked that because in their minds it's a throwaway question, and it's an icebreaker. But if you take advantage of that, you might be able to direct that conversation. So if there's something about your background or experience you want to make sure people know, prepare that ahead of time and know that I want to inject that here and try to make it as natural as possible. So and the personal part, we're all weird. None of us here, obviously in this studio, but we all have some. So make sure that you share something that will be appropriate to share. So if it comes out personal, and you don't have to necessarily.
We have a caller here.
What about the Star Trek collection? Yeah.
Huh?
My Star Trek toy collection. Should I mention that?
No,
Exactly.
I think if you see a picture of him and his wife with a surfboard behind his desk, I think it's okay to ask that question. All right, caller, go ahead. Go ahead, caller. Ask the question. No, don't be shy. Go ahead. Go ahead. Ask the question. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead. Ask the question. What's the question? You had a question. No questions? Okay, fine. Hang up. Never call back.
Hang up.
God. All right, so we're talking to Tom Cairns, the author of All Systems Go, How to Launch a Successful Job Search. Don't forget, if you go to jobhow.net, you can qualify for a free book if they leave their email, right, Aaron?
Correct.
What else do you want to say about jobhow.net?
Soon to be one of the top destinations for people to gain advice, both in hiring and getting a job.
And there's going to be cool videos there in about 2 weeks. Really cool videos.
Yes,
yeah,
very
really
cool videos.
So we're going to take a little break. Our show brought to you by Lisa's Tax Service. Don't forget, if you've got issues with your taxes, or you haven't paid your taxes, or if you need to be represented in front of the IRS, Lisa's certified to do it. She's approved, Aaron. You might call her up.
I think we have a presidential candidate that might be calling her.
Yeah, no kidding. Lisa's Tax Service. All right, going to come right back and finish up. And I'm going to have him back in a couple of weeks. Tom Cairns' his name. The book is called All Systems Go, How to Launch a Successful Job Search. We're just scratching the surface, aren't we, Aaron? Scratching the surface?
Yes, we are.
We'll be right back on the show we call The Business of Life. So, our show brought to you by jobhow.net. Go and sign up. A lot of cool stuff. Jobhow.net. A lot of cool stuff coming down. You'll be one of the early benefactors because there's going to be great videos. The site's going to be how to help you get a job, how to keep a job, where the sweet jobs are, where the dreams jobs are, what states where you can go actually and move out. Get out of California. I'm just telling you, ladies and gentlemen, please pack your bags, get out of the state. And Aaron, where do we want them to go? North Dakota, South Dakota? How about South Carolina? Anyway, we know the states. That's Aaron Moskowitz, my pal. And we're going to teach people how to get a better job, how to make more money in their life,
how to hack the system, make it go your way.
Oh, I love that. All right, so our special guest today, Tom Cairns, who is was the HR director of Homeland Security, the #1 guy. Now he's a professor, barely hanging on at Azusa Pacific College. Anytime soon you'll be fired if you keep coming on this radio show. So you wrote a book. Title of the book is?
All Systems Go, How to Launch a Successful Job Search.
I'm so curious on this question. I've been meaning to ask you for the last hour. So if you graduate from one of these online universities like Sweet Arizona or name something, Aaron, there's all these online schools. As an HR director, does it make a difference where you went to school, or does it even make a difference that you graduated?
Well, there's a lot of successful people, believe it or not, that have not graduated from college, so that's not necessarily your ticket to success.
I'm glad you said that, and I'm going to have you back.
We always talk about that.
No, I'm going to have you back in 2 weeks. Aaron and I took a vote, and it was unanimous.
Yeah.
along with our attorney, Dan Lippman. He has to be in the studio every time we do a radio show to monitor Aaron Moskowitz.
I think that's smart.
It is smart having our attorney. But so you don't need to graduate from college to get a great job.
Right.
Wow.
No. I mean, that doesn't mean you shouldn't go to school, but you need to have the right motivation.
Go
or
when you get
reason for
home,
doing
or
that.
whenever you're going back to your class at the school. Go to CoachTunick.com, because I've written some blogs about college, and I'm curious when you come back. I want to talk about them because they may offend you. Because I'm saying you don't need to go to college. I'm saying what you're saying. If you spend 4 years with Aaron Moskowitz, I guarantee you after 2 years you could be well employed. Am I lying, Aaron, on this?
That is the absolute truth.
Yeah.
That's what I'm told every day by thousands of
Okay.
people.
And I'm not disagreeing with you, and from that standpoint that not everyone
I'm starting
needs
to like you, Tom.
You need to have the sometimes you've heard the expression having your ticket punched. And sometimes there are credentials that you need to have, regardless of whether or not that.
Give me the top three credentials. Give me top three credentials.
Well, one of those obviously is going to be a college degree, and then once you have a college degree, then perhaps a master's degree after that.
You just said we don't need a college degree to get a great job.
I didn't say you didn't need it. I'm saying not everybody needs one. I'm not saying it's a.
Well, if you're going to be
if you're
going to be an MD or a lawyer, like
Well, the law is telling you need those things. Those
society,
right?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that there are some things that in life and what you determine you want to do that you're going to need to have. And some of those, I had a good friend of mine who did not have his undergraduate degree. And the surprising thing, he had tons of experience. And so when he went looking for a job within the field where he was well experienced, that industry was now looking and seeking a person who had a bachelor's degree, and he had all the experience. So he went back and finished, but he needed to have that now all of a sudden to land that job that he really didn't necessarily need that.
We only have a minute, so what a great guest. Tom Cairns will be back. What's the name of your book one more time?
All Systems Go: How to Launch a Successful Job
And then
Search.
you can go to what's your website, Aaron?
Jobhow.net. JOBHOW.
And are you giving anything away
.net.
free?
Yes, we are giving electronic versions of Tom's book.
Very nice. So I'm going to have you back in a couple of weeks. We just scratched the surface. I mean, to get a big HR guy like you to come in the studio is such a blessing. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I
I mean, it's a
enjoyed
great
being here. Thank
blessing
you
to
for
have you.
inviting
And
me.
you're a good radio guest playing along with us, you know. I mean, we don't want to get too serious, Aaron, right?
No,
We've got to have
no.
some fun along the way here.
That's why we're here.
But if we can help people realize that they have greatness inside of them,
Wake them up.
but they need a mentor. I mean, that's what you and I are going to hopefully do on our show is mentor people. And I'm a big believer, Tom Cairns, in mentoring. Anyway, we'll be back on the show we call it Business Life. The radio station, one of the best radio stations in the country, KHTS, they have great programs all through their week. Listen, AM 1220 on the AM dial. Yes, you can listen on the way to work and the way home from work on KHTS. Also, one of the best websites, radio websites in the country, hometownstation.com. We'll see you next week.